I kept Yellowstone in first position, but it needed to stay on course.
Dances with Wolves wasn't just another Hollywood film. It became one of the defining movies of the 1990s, an emotional, sweeping epic that stunned audiences, dominated the Academy Awards, and brought the Western genre back from the dead. But behind that success lies a story filled with risk, chaos, controversy, and secrets that most viewers never knew existed. Because the truth is, this film almost didn't happen. And even when it did, everything that could go wrong nearly did. The story began far from Hollywood, inside a garage. A struggling writer named Michael Blake had an idea about a Union soldier who befriends a wolf and connects with a Lakota Sioux tribe. It was a deeply human story, but studios weren't interested. The script was rejected again and again. Then it reached Kevin Costner. Costner saw something others didn't. But instead of immediately backing the project, he challenged Blake. He told him to turn the screenplay into a novel first. His reasoning was simple: if the story worked on the page, it could work on screen. Blake took that challenge seriously. He wrote the novel under extreme conditions, sleeping on couches, sometimes even in his car. The process was exhausting. And when he finally finished, rejection followed him once again. More than 30 publishers turned it down. Until one small publisher said yes. The book quietly found an audience. And that was all Costner needed. He took the project to Hollywood, but what happened next shocked everyone. Costner didn't just want to star in the film. He wanted to direct it. And he wanted a $20 million budget, a huge risk for a Western at a time when the genre was considered dead. Studios were still haunted by past failures, especially the financial disaster of Heaven's Gate. Executives thought Costner was making a career-ending mistake. But he didn't back down. Instead, he made a decision that stunned the industry. He gave up his salary. And even more risky, he agreed to be personally responsible for any budget overruns. If the film failed, he wouldn't just lose credibility. He could lose everything. Production began in South Dakota in 1989, and almost immediately, problems started piling up. The schedule slipped. Costs increased. Investors grew nervous. Crew members warned that the production was becoming unmanageable. Even the cinematographer pushed back, warning that waiting for perfect lighting would destroy the timeline. Costner's response was unwavering. The schedule could break, but the vision wouldn't. That mindset came at a price. By the end of filming, the production had gone millions over budget and weeks behind schedule. Hollywood insiders openly mocked the project, calling it Kevin's Gate, comparing it to one of the biggest flops in film history. Everything pointed toward failure. Then came the first test screening. The audience sat in silence as the film ended. For a moment, it felt like confirmation of everyone's worst fears. Then suddenly, applause. Not just polite clapping. A full minute of applause. Against all expectations, Dances with Wolves became a massive success. It earned over $420 million worldwide and won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It didn't just succeed. It changed everything. But behind that polished success were stories that were far stranger than fiction. The casting alone had surprising details most people never noticed. Mary McDonnell, who played Stands with a Fist, was actually older than Graham Greene, who played her adoptive father. On screen, their relationship suggested a significant age gap, but in reality, it didn't exist. Even the actress playing her adoptive mother was nearly the same age. It didn't make logical sense. But somehow it worked perfectly. Costner himself hid in plain sight. In the opening Civil War scene, he appears as a heavily bandaged doctor. His face is barely visible, and his voice was dubbed over. Most viewers had no idea the film's star was already on screen. His family also became part of the production. His young daughter played the childhood version of Stands with a Fist. But during filming, she struggled with simple directions like left and right, forcing the crew to adapt their approach. It was a small detail, but it added to the unpredictable nature of the shoot. Even the wolf, Two Socks, wasn't just one animal. The role was shared by two wolves, Buck and Teddy, each used for different scenes depending on behavior and stamina. The illusion was seamless. But the reality behind it was anything but simple. And then, there were the darker turns. One actor from the film, Nathan Lee Chasing Horse, would decades later become the center of a shocking criminal case involving serious allegations. What once seemed like a minor role took on a completely different meaning years later. But the most intense challenges happened during production itself. The Buffalo Stampede scene became one of the most dangerous and expensive sequences ever filmed. The crew had built miles of fencing to control a herd, but a violent storm destroyed everything. The buffalo scattered across the plains. Each animal cost thousands of dollars per day. Losing them wasn't just chaotic, it was a financial disaster. Costner didn't sit back. He joined the effort himself, riding out with wranglers to track down the herd. Hours later, covered in dust and exhaustion, he returned ready to continue filming. That same sequence destroyed multiple cameras. To capture the realism, cameras were buried in trenches so the herd could run directly over them. And they did. The result? Equipment crushed, costs skyrocketing, but the footage was exactly what Costner wanted. He refused to compromise. The weather didn't help either. Temperatures swung dramatically, creating continuity issues. Scenes meant to happen on the same day looked completely different, muddy in one shot, dry and dusty in the next. Then came the language problem. The film's Lakota dialogue, praised by many, had a major flaw. Early translations used incorrect grammatical forms, making male characters sound feminine to native speakers. It was a mistake that couldn't fully be fixed by the time filming ended. To most audiences, it went unnoticed. But for those who understood the language, it was impossible to ignore. And despite all the effort, small mistakes still made it into the final film. A dead character flinches during a scene. Food changes size between shots. Blood flows in the wrong direction. Horses appear in impossible positions between cuts. Arrows multiply during battle scenes. They're subtle, but once you notice them, they stand out. Yet none of these issues stopped the film from becoming iconic. But the story didn't end there. After the film's release, controversy followed. Costner, once praised for honoring Native American culture, faced backlash when he became involved in a proposed resort project near sacred Lakota land. Critics accused him of betrayal, of profiting from the culture while disregarding its significance. The backlash was intense. And for some, it permanently changed how they viewed him. The film itself also sparked debate. While many praised its respectful portrayal of Native Americans, others criticized it for reinforcing the white savior narrative. It became a film both celebrated and questioned. A legacy that remains complicated. But perhaps the most surprising truth lies in the film's romance. The love story between Costner's character and Stan's with a fist felt natural, emotional, and deeply respectful. But originally, it was written very differently. Mary McDonnell was uncomfortable with how explicit the scene was meant to be. So she spoke up. And Costner listened. As both director and co-star, he adjusted the scene to match her comfort level. What could have been awkward or forced became something subtle, emotional, and genuine. There was no behind-the-scenes drama. No scandal. Just professionalism and mutual respect. And that decision made all the difference. In the end, Dances with Wolves is more than just a film. It's a story about risk, belief, and refusing to compromise even when everything is falling apart. It's about trusting a vision when no one else does. And proving that sometimes, the biggest risks lead to the greatest rewards. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Prestige Buzz, and hit the bell notification so you never miss our next deep dive into Hollywood's hidden stories.